In cunning ways, the make-believe. Cunning ways, the shame. Flesh and spirit, you can use wicked hearts and cunning ways. Lord, you count the days. May my spirit be worthy for you.
The bar coming to you live. This is IAMFITPodcast. Are you fit to go God's way? Let's go it. Let's do 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 it. Get my water. You guys want to lose weight? Just drink water or little lemon or soda pop or juices. Just drink water. Maybe cheat in the weekend. You won't lose all the weight, but it will help you. All right. How we doing? Hope everybody's is doing well. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here with me, so thank you. I was just minding my own business. You know, being an old man and need to be in step with the next generation, the young people. I got my TikTok account, my Instagram, and sometimes I scroll to see what's the young people are saying, what the people are saying in general. And I came across this video on TikTok. You know how you got people who have channels and then have TikTok accounts, and they kind of take little bits of those channels and create TikTok videos. So I saw one. Apparently, I'm part of some secret society who is planning to trick the people. And I'm gonna let the video play by itself, and then I want you guys to kind of make your own decision on what's going on here, because what I believe is that we need to have a conversation. You know, I'm not angry about the situation because it's so bizarre, but I'm concerned. And I'm going to go into why I'm concerned after the video. So I want to play this video, fair use. This is, you got people out there that are always bashing some church. And I call it GOCC is one of the church I was previous with. But my name came up. And apparently I'm part of this plan of, I faked certain things, and so forth, so on. And let me just put this real quick. Okay, great. And I want to play this video, fair use. And let's see what's the video that, what are your video? Here we go. Fair use. Fair use, okay. Right, so this is 3 minutes and 3 seconds long. The title is Exposing the Dark Truth About Nature Boy. Nature Boy is some guy that is listening in the wilderness or in the nature. He wants everybody to go through this area, right? And the guy in Christ Church. And I was like, okay. Pick a number, right? Everybody's always against GOCC or any church that becomes popular, any organization becomes popular, eventually you're going to get your critics, right? But my name was mentioned, so I'm going to play a little bit of it. Fair use, fair use.
Do about it. They're being led by wolves in sheep's clothing. Here we have Elder Ricard, leader of Gathering of Christ Church. He will be the pastor or the elder that will be used to lure God's people overseas. He's a false light.
And this is the reason why I don't want to be a founder of a church. I don't need all that attention on me. It's just that's why committees should probably be always established within the church to not zero in on one person. I think it becomes a distraction, right? Fair use.
He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Ricard, he manipulates the minds of the people by using fear. Yes, using fear. Fear of the military, fear of food shortage, fear of being kicked out of your home. It's all about fear to control the minds of the people in order to lead them away from their homeland. His target is the women, whom is labeled as the weaker vessel and must be led by.
Now, notice what she said. The target is the woman. Now, I know Ricard personally for years. None of this is true. I denounced this as a full lie. This is all a lie. This is all made up, right? But I want to have a conversation about mental illness and delusional grandeur. There's a lot of that within religious people. And let's talk about that today, right?
A man. Also, we have another wolf in sheep's clothing. His name is Elder Gabar, former elder of GOCC NYC.
Pay attention.
But his current YouTube channel is I Am Fit. Gabar's target is the men. He
Now, sister, if you're gonna get it, you're gonna mention my channel. Mention right. It's I Am Fit Podcast. Come on, I Am Fit Podcast. That's easy to remember.
manipulates the minds of the men by programming them to abuse women.
So you hear what you're saying? I'm programming men to abuse women. Just because we want a man to be respected in his household, because a man's supposed to be the head of the household, but somehow we're abusing women, right? But that's not the worst of it. There's more. And sister, you're more than welcome to come on the show respectfully and bring your receipts. I want evidence. I want to see that. I want to see examples of men abusing women, kicking women, abusing them, and using men going God's way for that. Let's talk about that.
By teaching
And more importantly, I want receipts to show that that is my plan, right? I got brother Ami One. He's going to be joining us in a few minutes. Let me bring in Ami One in a few minutes. Brother Ami One, let's see where you at. Okay. Let's see where you at. 2 seconds, folks. Okay, brother. I see you. You're getting ready there, so you're going to be coming up in a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay. I think you have to adjust your camera.
Okay, my camera.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then you, because you're like sideways.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was listening to the live one, but it's behind. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
I could hear you fine, but your camera is crooked. Maybe you.
Okay, it's crooked.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go. You're much better.
Okay.
Much better.
All right.
Outstanding. All right. So we're gonna pick it up. I'm pretty sure you saw the title.
Yes.
Pretty
Yeah.
sure you. And then brother Ahmad wants to come in. He's more than welcome. You could send him the link as well if he wants to comment.
Okay.
As well.
All right.
All right. So apparently, I Am Fit Podcast and Elder Gabar is manipulating men to abuse their wife. That's what this video is saying. So let's continue picking it up because she hasn't dropped the bomb yet.
that men are the head of women, and women must obey men at all costs. The split between
Isn't that what the Bible says? Maybe I'm reading wrong. Maybe this sister could come in the show and educate me. You know.
Rakar and Gabar, it was staged. It was to divide the men from the women.
Okay, let me go back. So me leaving the church, if it's a stage, it's me and Rakar are plotting to separate the men from the women. Right?
The split between Rakar and Gabar, it was staged. It was to divide the men from the women. They used the same tactics that Nature Boy uses by placing fear in you to lure you away from your home, and then abuses you, and then separates the man from the woman.
So there it is.
Beware these pastors, bishops.
So, you know, and sisters specifically, I want to address the sisters here. You got to watch out for sisters like this. Because, you know, they have their channel, right? And let me put the first channel that she posts, right? Actually, that was our first. It was her first channel. Let me switch here. 2 seconds. Right. You know, and these channels, they come across as like, you know, spiritual enlightenment.
I will reveal to you the true interpretation of the biblical story, Noah's Ark.
So nobody has this spiritual interpretation other than her, right? And there's always these type of, you know, people that are, you know, I'm trying to get her face. I know she had a TikTok, and I think she had a face on. And let me see if I could get her TikTok channel, because she seems normal, like a regular woman, right? So I always You know, when I was a pastor, right, and I used to tell people that when someone is lying,
Many Puerto Ricans are often confronted.
oh,
Many Puerto Ricans.
excuse me. Let me see if I can find her on TikTok, right? And I post her. Oops. And there she is. Okay, let me see if I can find her. That's her. As always. Let me see if maybe she has her TikTok. Okay, she doesn't have her TikTok. Okay, but her. I have a picture of her. It's on the thumbnail. It's the sister there. So she seems pretty normal. So I'm like, okay, but there's a new phenomenon that's happening that I have seen in the last 10 to 15 years of functional, crazy people. They have jobs. Nobody in their job know they're crazy. Nobody in their job know that they got this channel on, online and things of that nature. I know there was a psychiatrist woman that went viral, and she was acting kind of crazy, talking about bashing men. She lost her job because of it. So people have to be very careful when they go out and put these channels on. But apparently, this woman is claiming that this is all a plot. Ricard and I came together behind the scenes and said, "Goodbye, listen, make believe that you're going to leave the church and start an organization called Men Going God's Way with a podcast called IAMFITPodcast, and to separate the men from the women. I'm going to deal with the women, and then, you're going to deal with the men." This is all a plot, right, to separate. And I know people get caught up with and let me put the comments. They get caught up with dismissing somebody because they're crazy. And I get it, right? But there was a guy, I don't know if you remember, Jermaine, what's his name? Something Jermaine, he was claiming to be the angel Gabriel. You remember that guy?
I remember.
Right? And I remember that I was, when I saw the guy, when I first followed the guy, I saw the guy, he was saying a lot of good stuff, decent stuff in the beginning, his early videos, he was agreeing with a lot of the stuff to the church. He was giving us props and so forth, so on. And then it became a thing that eventually he claimed that he was this angel Gabriel. And listen, because when I was coming up, either you're crazy or you're not. Like, there was no middle ground. There was no people that believed they were angels and had a job. There was no people that believed that they were a prophetess or a prophet and was part of functioning society, right? Let's see here. Let me see if I see. Okay, peace, brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining us. I see you, wise old man. Thank you. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, right? And when I first saw this guy, Jermaine, he was claiming to be the angel, I said, okay, this guy's a nut. Nobody's going to take him serious. But you know what? There was people that I baptized in Atlanta. There was a lady with a son, I believe. And lo and behold, I was like, people came to report to me, Elder, this is sister. We baptized and blah, blah, blah. And she was in that channel, believing that he was the angel Gabriel or considering it. She was all over the place. And there was some guy, one brother in Hawaii, I believe. I don't know if he was Benjamin or Levi, but he was living in Hawaii. I don't know if he was working there or lived there, but I remember myself and one of the elders, I forgot, was having a meeting with him because he kind of was we were considering him to perhaps be the point person in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. It was either me and Gaja, I don't remember, or Ramar. But we asked him point blank, do you believe that he is? And that's what he said. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. He may be. So that alone, I was like, okay, this guy's out for Cocoa Bubs, right? Yeah. But there were normal people. It's like until their craziness gets revealed, you don't know them. And now I would start even questioning myself, like, why I didn't pick this up. Now, this sister, you could clearly see she was probably a member of GOCC in the past. She's probably got disgruntled by something that happened, blah, blah, blah. Or she would always, people like her always attach themselves to organization to kind of find a platform and things of that nature because they always had an agenda. And the reason why I'm not ignoring it in this sense is because there's a lot of people that get caught up with this craziness. And I don't know where that comes from. Where do you think that comes from? What do you, how is somebody, because she seems functionable.
Right.
She seems like, I don't know her. I don't know what she does for a living. I don't know if she's getting some form of assisted living because of her mental condition, and maybe this is her way to express it. But I saw some of her videos. She seemed articulate, not the brightest person, but she could hold a conversation.
Right.
It's a maliciousness. That's what it is. Because, and I know I'm rambling, and I want to hear your thoughts. Years ago, I used to always say this, and this helps me to deal with people. When people are coming against me or dealing with, I'm dealing with a person that I'm having an issue with, I usually say to myself, this is not the person. This is the demon that is taking hold of this person. Right? And that makes me deal with it better. It's like, it's like the neighborhood drunk. Nobody pays attention to him because when he's not drunk, he's the nicest person. Then he start drinking, forget about it. He's cursing everybody out, but nobody takes, Billy or John or Hector, whatever his name is, serious because, he has an alcohol problem. So that makes people deal with that situation rather than if he walks in the wrong neighborhood and he starts talking all that smack, he may get hurt, right? But the neighborhood people know him because they understand he's dealing with some alcohol situation.
Right.
I always, when I'm dealing with people, that helps me to deal with that situation because I'm not taking it personal. Oh, he's dealing with spirits right now. She's dealing with spirits. So let me try to deal with that and try to gain that person back to, love and patience, right? And that's how I cope with that. But dealing in these internet world, these social media, I have seen people that are nuts as crazy. I think she has like 200 and something subscribers, 275, right? She got 9 videos up. I think her first video was put 2 months. She's determined. So it looks like this probably just happened. And but if crazy people and I think you got crazy people. I think it's probably spectrums, right? You got crazy people that they need to be put in a stretcher in some hospital, in some facility with people that could help them. Then you got people like them that they could work or they could have some level of function, but they got this delusional grandeur that they believe they are prophetess or they are prophet or some and things of that nature. Have you dealt with people like this? How you cope with it? Let's talk about it.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely have. And a lot of that was how me and you came into contact. I do have some experience in leadership. And what I seen what was happening was with the internet becoming more popular, and you would have people that if you were to see these people in real life, not only would you not know what they were dealing with internally, but these might be say men that wouldn't even look you in the eye, that were extremely timid, in another time and space. These would be men to where, like, if there was no such thing as like artificial intelligence or industry to to provide for your family, you could just go and work on a press and stamp something. And men had to be somewhat industrious, hard workers, courageous men. They would have to be men in every sense of the word. And if you weren't that, you really would not be given a place to speak. A lot of these guys and these women, they would be in their normal space in reality. I think I've seen Andrew Tate mentioning to the young guy Aiden, who he began mentoring.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, you're a millionaire, but this is because of Twitch. But that isn't a real thing. And another time in space, like, man, you would have been a squire. You would have been scrubbing floors, and you would have been facing your reality every day. There would have been no space for your delusions of grandeur. But now, when we come into like this internet era, anybody can pop up with a page tomorrow and disregard. Elder Gabar, you've been in the truth for 30 years. So what? The Most High is dealing with me. I'm telling you, you've been doing this wrong. You've been doing that wrong. Men that would, or, you know, or even like this sister who, I mean, this could have, who knows what this could have stemmed from? Some level of abuse. It could have. Or it could have just been something she's internalized since she was young. When we grew up watching the Michael Jackson movie, you know, everybody has a mindset in an individualist society that, like, when I was born, the sky cracked open. The Most High chose me over everybody, you know, to do something more special than everyone. Yeah. And I seen that this was happening. I was more so familiar with it on the side of men. And that's where I was coming in like, yo, we got to do something about this, because it's a lot of dysfunctional brothers that have barely worked jobs, you know what I mean? And they come in learning a few precepts, and yo, they flipping homes upside down, giving wrong counsel, making up false, strange doctrines because of these delusions. And so I'm like, yo, I see why Jewish people say before you convert, it takes 5 years. Like we just have to just make you relearn how to properly think all of the things you've learned the wrong way. Or in Islam, I believe when you first go to the mosque, like they actually teach you how to properly wash yourself before coming in, because you start off and you know who you are. Like it isn't much room for these delusions. But with the Bible, I think in Western Christianity and a lot of Christ and his teachings and Paul and his teachings being taken in a philosophical manner, it gives a lot of degenerate people a platform to like gain renown. And I believe in that's why, you know, sometimes I'm hyped up, because I'm like, man, I've seen this 30 times. Like, and I might just be meeting you, but I've heard that before. I've dealt with it before. I know where it ends up, and it's a problem. And it really is a problem. So I do think America is a playground for that, because even feminism, that wouldn't exist if we were in a different type of society. Like, you wouldn't have to tell a woman to follow you or listen to you. You'd be like, hey, I'm out. Yeah. And then they'll, you know, that's all you'd have to say is like, yo, I'm out. Yeah. And then, you know, reality would set in. So
yeah. And were these people always among us? They didn't have the tool to expose the craziness, or there's an increase of that? And you know, I want that question, but I want to land back into what you were saying. So you think is that people, like you mentioned about the Andrew Tate, that he meant that he was talking to one of his followers who was famous and wealthy in this TikTok and this stratosphere. Mm-hmm. But if he would not have had that success, he would probably be depressed, working in a job, right?
Yeah, and Elder, what I was saying is he wouldn't even have been able to have that success. Like what success? So what success?
I got you. It would it would have been a thing that he's lucky that he's in the right place in the right time, because if it wasn't for that, he would just be a regular Joe.
Right. Because like in Nigeria, in a different society, like if you go see a millionaire in Nigeria, more than likely this guy is extremely intelligent. Yeah. He's industrious. Yeah. He worked hard. He was extremely patient. He went through an arduous education, because there is no part where you just go get $1 million by like making funny videos and debasing their society.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
So it's like if you're there, like, no, you had to go figure out how to extract coal from a mine, make that functional, make people benefit from it.
Yeah.
So these guys are millionaires, so they carry themselves a certain way.
Right.
Now you have guys like in America, you never, like, I mean, this guy's scamming, and they have YouTube channels literally telling people how to do like the most evil things, and they're getting interviewed. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so these guys are not really, you know,
they're not honorable people.
Yeah.
But so the culture, I think, so is the culture that wait a minute, 2 seconds. Let me flip this again. I got it. Okay. So, okay. Let me just put this here. Okay, great. All right. Let me just put the number if people want to call in. The number is 267-358-0879. So is it like a thing that is that a first world problem? Like, do we see people in Thailand, in Africa, in Japan, and the Middle East as crazy as Americans? Or, because I read something that usually when a society gets too comfortable and too privileged and too, there's not a war to fight, there's not something to do for protection, the first thing they start doing is questioning genders, questioning society roles. Because now, with a woman back in the days, she was feeding her men, her son, and her daughter, but especially her men and her sons, because she knew that they are the first line of defense if somebody breaks into that house or somebody breaks into the village, right? So it was a thing that women want the men around their neighborhood to be healthy and fed, right? Not malnourished, because they understand if something goes wrong, this is the guy who's going to defend me. But now there's not a desire anymore. Now there's, so women now question their roles, right?
Right.
Because I only see these crazy type of things in America. Is it me? Maybe I need to do some research. Maybe there's some crazy Chinese person out there that believes that, he's the new Buddha. And it happens. I know there was a guy in China, he was saying he was the new Christ. So it does happen in other countries, and so forth, so on. But but China is a fairly modern society.
Right. It's first world. Yeah.
It's first world considered, right? So I don't know. I think this is a weird scenario. And I put the title, "Should I Sue This Lady?" But right now because if it becomes a situation that I have to respond to this and it's affecting my reputation, maybe I do have to do something. I mean, now she's just small, she just started a channel. But in the same way, I thought nobody would take, Jermaine, whatever, Grant, well, not Jermaine Grant, the guy who was calling himself the M.G.G.W, Patrick, whatever his name is, right? I thought nobody would take him serious, but I actually talked to people, baptized people that were part of his channel. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. And, those are the type of people I want to identify. Those are the people I want to help. But most importantly, I want to make them understand. And I want people to make them understand. If somebody knows this lady that loves her, and they just allow her to say these things, and maybe, because, when you come across these videos, right, and it's always with these like dark music, Elder Gabar, and people know him, but look at this symbol he put up and things of that nature. And I remember when I was a young man in the 90s, I used to fall for that nonsense. But now I'm questioning everything. I'm a skeptic in heart. But it's amazing how people could just, turn on a camera, say some things, and it goes viral, and it gets accepted. Like, it got to be something there. She's not just gonna make this up out of her butt. She's not just gonna come out of the air.
Right.
But crazy people are getting harder to identify these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's sad. And I want to help her. If she want to call on the show, she will be respectful. I just want receipts.
Yeah.
And if the receipts is, because I think her name is Wisdom, Wisdom is here 8, Aliaya Gabriel. Okay, maybe she's Gabriel. Maybe she's a female version of Gabriel. I don't know, but it's just a weird thing because I always want to look at the best of the people, right? Because she's she's like intelligent woman and doing this deliberately, and she's lying about people just to get some attention. Yeah, that's like malicious stuff, right? That's like, okay, we have to get rid of people like that. They have no morals, they have no justice in their heart, and but sometimes a little more complicated. And I saw, seen some of that these videos. I think you're right. I think it comes from a place that people don't want to accept their reality, whether she works in a regular 9-to-5 blue collar job or she's in corporate America, she's not happy with her life. Right. And that, but the crazy thing is that I sometimes in the weekends I say, you know what, I'm gonna go to a country, and I'll go and say I want to look at a country and see what's going on. I look at Pakistan tour, and there's usually will be a guy there walking through, the whether it be the nice parts, the ghetto. You could find, whether it be Thailand, Puerto Rico, Jamaica. You see the guy out there walking, and that's a popular thing now. So now you can have a basic understanding how a country looks. And it's nothing there. It's nothing like the real thing, going and landing and talking to the people, but you get an idea, right? And I see some poverty, man. Woo. Oh my God. I've seen some poverty that is the problem in America, that we are getting too comfortable. I wanted to be this, but now I work in Walmart. I wanted to be that, but now I'm a security guard. And shout out to the security guard, shout out to the Walmart. We all need, look at what happened in Florida. I don't know if you've been following that. Shout out to DeSantis. He passed a law that he may have to reverse because illegals are been working in Florida for a long time. And a lot of companies hire these illegals because they're cheap labor and they work hard. And now Florida have to hire Americans, and they got to pay them more, and they're not working as good or fast or as efficient. Wow. Right? So he may have to renege on that or change that and things of that nature. But look how lazy we have gotten as a country, that there are certain jobs, certain industry would literally die tomorrow if people from South America just simply walk away and say, we're going back to our country. The milk industry, the meat industry, the fruit industry, will be gone. And are we gotten too comfortable? And sometimes when we get comfortable, we get bored. We just come up with these delusional grandeur in our mind, right? And but it gets accepted. It doesn't get challenged. It doesn't. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it's because back in the day, someone like this will be considered to be crazy. A family member will call some doctors. I think my sister. I think my mom. I think my daughter. I think my friend. There's something wrong with her. She's believing she's some this and she's some that. But I don't think it's all mental illness. I think a lot of it is people dealing with anger issues and vengeance. Like, I think she probably has issue with men. You know, a lot of these women are single, or they got a simp at home that she's angry at because women are hardwired to hypergamy. So the hypergamy is a man that got his act together. You know, after 2-3 dates, he's gonna realize this girl is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So he probably have a guy who's, if she has a guy that is probably a beta, right? A laid back, and he's allowed her to kind of do these things. Because every crazy woman that I ever dealt with when I was with the church, if she was or a difficult woman, a woman that always wants to have an opinion, always calling, Elder, I just got a question. It's all everything about the lesson. And I'm like, sister, what's your husband? Oh, he's right here. And he's just allowing her. And I was like, but can I speak to your husband? Brother, you would feel that way? Well, you know, my wife was talking. And it's always her, and he's just allowing her to just go all over the place.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why I know I'm doing the right thing. We have to talk about this. You know, things are not normal. Things are not good. And these are the type of things that is embarrassed to the Christian community, is embarrassed to the Israelite community, is embarrassed to the spiritual believing in God, because now everybody, you know, Christian people, the people that usually get a camera in their face is always the extremists, right? It's the crazy Israelites, it's the crazy Christians running around blowing up abortion clinics, right? It's the extremists. But, you know, I could understand why people, you know, are not trusting or think that, you know, religion is only attracts crazy people. And I believe religion does attract crazy people. We have to talk about that. You know, how to point them out, how to deal with that. You know, we may probably need a professional to come in, and where did that come from? Where did that, you know, because I don't think she's a malicious woman. I think she's just delusional. She doesn't know what the heck she's doing. She's just, you know, thinking she's doing the right thing. She's probably hearing some voice, something, right? But I think a lot of it comes from people don't want to be who they really are, and they're not happy with their existence, and they want to become something else. I don't know. Maybe this is the reason why I'm doing this show. I don't know. I'm not comfortable with my existence. I don't know. Maybe subconsciously, I got to look at, you know, I got to talk to a shrink, you know, but I truly believe that when good men do nothing, bad men prosper. When good people do nothing, bad people prosper. Because the people that have the agenda, the people that want to be a prophet, the people that want to be a leader, the people that want to have all the, you know, accolades and things of that nature, are working extra hard. And the people that just want to mind their business, go to work, support their family, you know, do a little good in the community, and so forth, so on. I don't want the headache. We need the headache, because this is how bad people get popular and famous, becomes a thing. And I don't think she's gonna go anywhere. But I was just using this as a point of reference, how bad things are gotten, you know, in our community, that we accept craziness as like, right? Like, you knew the crazy people in the neighborhood. There was no middle ground, you know. But there were, maybe the internet is exposing all the crazy people that always been there. They didn't have these tools. You know, a lot of them don't put their faces. Right. A lot of them, you know, always in, you know, some shadow, talking about the Illuminati and they have to get me and all that. And you know, I do believe they are powerful people working in the shadows. And you know, the biggest problem in America is corruption. That's the biggest problem. It's not the laws. It's not the you know, I think it's corruption. I mean, when elected officials immediately become an official, all these lobbyists throwing in money, you know, corruption. You know, and I think America is going to be the only country that is going to be destroyed within, right? And you got crazy people in the driver's seat. You got corruption in people in the driver's seat. And us good guys, man, we got to do the right. We have to do something. Like, I don't know what to do, but I'm mad as hell and I can't take it anymore. Like, something has to be done. And Have you ever been with somebody or have a friend or someone who is like delusional grandeur, saying crazy things? Yeah, I got a visitation by an angel yesterday, or some
Mhm.
outrageous situation. Do you ever had that experience?
Yeah, I've had these experiences, and maybe not so blatant. I mean, and when I say definitely blatant, but those are more extreme. You know, when people speak of outer worldly experiences, I've seen that more in the Christian church.
Yeah,
But what I would say has become plaguing the Israelite community is that um, unlike the old church, and when I say the old church, when you read the records, these were much more of training grounds,
right.
similar to like a martial arts academy,
Yeah,
where you would come, you quiet, you know, you carry out tasks,
yeah,
and you do that over a long period of time, and you're extremely humble and
yeah,
baptized physically, but also in a spiritual sense of the word, like all your vices, all your darkness is brought to light, which would give a person, any person that is aware of their mistakes and their shortcomings, you develop a humility and an
yeah,
awareness.
yeah,
However, what's happening is I'm online. I'm at home at YouTube. I see Elder Gabar, you break down a video, or Elder Ricard, or any of the prominent Israelite elders.
right.
I don't have to really go anywhere to acknowledge it. I take a little bit here, take a little bit there. I might say, disregard that. He's wrong about that. I start a YouTube channel. You know, now I'm
Yeah,
breaking this down. I don't
yeah,
pay homage to anybody.
yeah,
And now I'm my own prophet. And so, but what I would see is, in and of itself, I don't blame anybody for wanting to teach whatever they want to
yeah,
teach. But what typically happens is they come amongst people who are sincere. And when I
yeah,
say I've seen it, I'm only not saying anything to not expose or bring like dark lights to any organizations, but I've seen criminal things by people with this spirit on them. I'm literally criminal. I've seen lies created from thin air to cause dissension between people so that authority would come back to them. And you would, and at first you would think, okay, I remember like people that were dear to me, like, oh, okay, yeah, the brother, he a little bit confused, but you know, he means well. Right. And then more would become revealed, more would become revealed. And it's like, nah, you were adamant and willing to destroy anybody that questioned or that was in the way of you being seen as some superhero.
yeah,
And so these are insecurities from young, you
yeah,
know, as children. And whereas they're supposed to come into a spiritual institution
yeah,
to break those chains, they're coming and then they're sitting down. And then, you know, Elder, you were used to it. You know, you had an honorable and a renowned church. You come in, you get in the shalams, right? People lined up to speak with you after Sabbath. You can
yeah,
barely get home. Your wife is a little grieved. Like, can we leave now?
yeah,
You know, and then it's like, you know, it's a brother looking like, I think I'm like that. And so the brother completely disregarded what brought him there,
yeah,
which was to develop himself, and then moving a little bit too quickly. I've seen destruction. I've seen things that could have put men behind bars, and a lot of it, I was like, man, it wasn't all the brother's fault, because they show certain signs sometimes to where you might have to check a brother, you know, and I know sometimes, like even Saturday, I was speaking, like I be turning up, but I'm not doing it because I'm angry with anybody. I'm like, yo, bro, I've seen this before. I've been through it before. I've been in the councils where, and I know certain signs. So I'm
yeah,
like, yo, it needs to be met with a certain level of harshness, because it can go certain places. So I have seen it. I'm very familiar with it, but I do think you combat it. Whatever church, if there were any churches listening, you have to make it. Like if you go into a Christian church this Sunday, there's no prospect of you becoming a deacon in that church, right? Like
yeah,
if you went to if you went to the church up the street from your house, there is no way that you would be able to get like any authority, even as off as they are.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like these are the people that run the church. If you here, you're here to get help. Like
yeah,
you're not really just going to come up in here. But in the Israelite community, that's a little different. Like it's like, you know, everybody's quoting scriptures and bringing up the newest breakdown, and it isn't really frowned upon. But I think it should be frowned upon if you don't know that man in real life. If you don't know this man to be an honorable man, If you don't know him to be a virtuous man, well, brother, we gonna hold off on the scriptures right now. Let's just continue, doing what we doing, brother. We out here at the food drive this weekend. We out here, we working out.
Yeah.
Come show yourself to be a man first, and then we'll deal with the scriptures. Or sister, hey, you can go help the children. Okay.
Yeah, because it's like, have we been casting our pearls before swine, freely and openly breaking these scriptures down?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if you have if you have an idea, you want to know about an idea, what do the Israelites think about Esau? Look it up.
Mm.
And then you could even look up who disagreed with Esau being this and salvation.
Right.
And you find some group that will have a scripture so you could self-taught yourself, teach yourself, right? And have we been throwing pearls before swine? I remember a long time ago, I was having this conversation with a card that I was saying, hey, Elder, I think it's time for us to have an elite academy for the elders only.
Mm.
Because sometimes there's certain things that comes out in the academy that, and I think I just got a phone call. If let's go again. I saw you. Just go again. Okay, and maybe it's the lady. Who knows? Okay. No, I think it's Brother Alex. Is that you, Brother Alex? You want to call back? Okay. and it was for that same reason, right? And I don't know what happened after that, but and I think the academy record started because of that. Because when we first started the church, we were dealing with a lot of scoffers online, so the academy was something to show and prove the people that really want to be there. But even that became a thing. But I don't know, man. It's just a weird scenario that if you believe in God, you will think is there a thing that they're dealing with this demon and they don't want to tell people because they're too embarrassed, like for instance, I want to give you an example, and I'm not gonna leave any names. I'm not gonna drop any names. So I got a very interesting call. There was a brother, an older gentleman in the 60s. He wants to join me in Going God's Way. We were working it out. I think he's going to join us next week. And I'm not going to mention the church. I'm not going to deny or confirm what church he came from. But within the church, all right, let me break it down. He came in with a woman. She had a child from a previous relationship. They knew each other of the church, from their church, not the church that he eventually left and wanted to join our organization. And they came in together as a couple. It was a situation that I don't want to give too much away. That she had a job, she was appointed to retired, and then once she retired, they would move in together where he was at. So it was like they were dating, they were traveling back and forth. Sometimes she stays with him, sometimes vice versa, because she had this house, she had to sell it. She had like another year and a half left before she retires, and then she will move. So everything was fine. And then they would begin to have problems. The pastor of the church began to counsel them. And she wanted a divorce. So in the middle of the council, they were separated, but they were dealing with it. And the pastor's father had a wife, and she passed.
Mm.
A month later,
Mm.
he was in a relationship with the woman that were the woman that was having issues with her husband.
Mm.
You know, they were, from what I gathered, they were from a year in the church, then they got baptized a year in, then they were 2 years altogether. She's still with the church, and he's no longer with the church because he was upset about that, obviously.
Mm.
And now the father of the pastor is living an adulterous affair in the church. And the brother said, you know what? I had it with church. And these are the type of things that happen, that people then begin to hate churches and believe that there's corruption and that you can't trust church. I don't like church. And I met a lot of people like that, and I understand where that comes from.
Mm. Yeah.
And, you know,
Mm.
I wanted to call you and talk about it because we'll deal with this another time because I don't want to
Yeah.
reveal more than I have in things of that nature. But I was extremely upset.
Man.
I know the people he was talking about. I know them
Mm.
fairly well, decent. I know who they are.
Yeah.
And not only is because I asked him, I said, brother, I don't want to say any more because then I'll lay out, I'll let too much out, and I want to respect people's privacies. But these are the type of things that happen in churches, and this is, it's not good. It's not good for people to take advantage of people that are dealing with a situation. You got disrespect. You're the father of the pastor, of the elder of the church. People look at you. And there's something to be said with the church that allow that to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were going together. They were in the church for 2 years altogether, right? They got baptized a year in after so people know they were together. So how is now this is, and these are things that drive me crazy. And I won't be able to sleep if I'm hearing that and that's going down in my church or a church I'm affiliated with. And I know this is going out of the subject matter, but it's messed up that somebody goes to a church, a place that you're supposed to find a people that are not backstabbers, are not liars, conniving, scammers, and opportunists. But I think, to be honest with you, that's where the most of the backstabbers people are at. You understand what I'm saying? Maybe the church it attracts those type of people because maybe they are saying, "Oh, they're like these people are sheep, and I'm a wolf,
right,
hiding like a sheep." That's easy target, right? So I mean, what say you about that? I don't know. I was kind of taken back.
Yeah. The most honorable people I've met since I, found out I was an Israelite, but also the worst people as well. Like the worst people that I've met were Israelites as well. And I do realize, like, church in general, it brings people from many different castes. Even though we don't have castes in America, it's like sheep flock with sheep, like attracts like. So in the world, if you are a salesperson, if you on Wall Street, or if you're a banker, you typically have a support group of people of a similar mold or build. However, in the church, it's people with all different walks of life, all different experiences. And then, for so long, I think it's changing now, but it was just like, hey, if you quoting precepts, then hey, you approved, and hey, we brothers, man, and we gonna be like Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. And then when adversity comes for people to show their integrity, and against my own, against myself, like if money's involved or if friendships involved, you'll say, man, bro, you're really like that, you know, and then you find out, and I mean, it got dark. I mean, there was times like I was in tears when I found out certain things that had happened to certain people who were innocent, you know, by the hands of people that was quoting precepts, and I'm crying, like literally, like, wait, what? You wait, what? And man, and this is why I'm not moved by precepts, man. I've heard them. We've all heard them. I've heard, you know, I mean, come on, we've heard the greatest teachers. You know, it's like, don't come to me doing that, man. But let's just, and that's why I appreciated men going God's way so much, you know, because when you first came to me with it, you like, yeah, I really don't care how smart you are. You know what I mean? Just do this. Let me see where your mindset is at. Let me see where your heart is at. Do these things. And then any disagreements we have will work out. But I know you're a man first. And so, and I said, I said, you know, I didn't quite think that. But when I know prior to me leaving where I was saying like, yo, we have to refine these things. Some of these guys are humble in front of us, but they got people at their house giving strange counsel. You know what I mean? Doing strange things to people. And there's no vetting. And you have to, the people have to be developed. And I think that's what Eastern religions have over us here in the West is like, you really couldn't be, I don't think you could be an imam in Saudi Arabia without being an honorable man first. Like it couldn't be like, you couldn't be somewhat questionable. And that seems strange, but hey, man, he knows the Quran or even in Judaism, like whether or not you agree with the religion, they're all mild-mannered men of an honorable disposition, a controlled temperance, self-control, you know, have self-respect for themselves, an honorable family. We don't do that, man. You can be, I mean, you can do anything, but if you know the precepts, hey, I don't know, he might be the angel. You know what I mean? So
they get impressed, but it very easy, you know, can be impressed because he could know he knows a lot. You know, it reminds me of that scripture. So you know, the devil knows there's a God and trembles. You know, he acknowledges God. So, man, it's just a sad scenario to see, you know, people being abused like that. You know, you go to a church to find salvation and find help, and the pastor's fathers just taking advantage of it. You know, and I would ask him, like, brother, didn't people see you with her and then they're seeing with him? Yeah. And so what they say? Well, I don't know. I mean, they just, you know, I figured that's the eldest father. There got to be some logical explanation or whatever. It is a sad situation, but you know, and that's why you need certain guys, because sometimes a guy talk a good game, but sometimes you got to tell people no, and sometimes that no has to be your father. Dad, you're wrong.
Easy.
You know, can't, you know, this is, I love you, but this is wrong. And I just don't get that. I don't get why people just, you know, and I know this person. I've seen this person do teachings and lessons. I know, you know, you once we talk behind the scenes, you'll be surprised. That person, but it's sad. It's just sad that, you know, people are allowed to just take advantage of people, right? And what are we teaching that the young man of that woman who is seeing his mother? You know, we don't know what happened in the previous relationship. Probably, you know, sense we don't know what happened there. She comes in with her husband. From my understanding, it's like, yeah, we all got baptized together. I assisted in baptizing my wife and my stepson. I was there. We were all together. We should sit together. So it just says a lot about the integrity of the individual, but more importantly, a church to allow that to be a thing, and don't say anything. And it was concerning me, you know. But we'll talk about it behind the scenes. But to go back to this sister slandering people, sister, and I saw some of your videos, right? Because she talks about the Illuminati and blah, 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 and wicked spirits and blah, 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 and this, you know, deceiving the world, blah, 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 exposing the truth about pride, flag, revealing why America used ancient Egypt symbols, your typical stuff. So it becomes a situation exposing why they label us colored, Negro, Black, and African American or African. And, she's learning this from the Israelites. If we were not online, because I know for sure that, let's just say if all Israelite churches don't teach online, you got to come to our church.
Yeah.
Or at least you got to come to a private situation. And this is the beauty about man going God's way. That it's we all believe in God. We believe in Christ as the Messiah. We look at the Bible. What the Bible says. What does the prophet says? What does the wisdom book says? And we pray and hope that we could judge wisely, right? In that, right? But right now, all we want, man, is to come together and get in shape. That's the first thing I want people to do. Get in shape. That's right. The physical fitness. I was today in the gym doing legs. Legs kills me. It's like we're doing those squats and the legs. All this exercise. But the older you get, guys and women, resistance training. Cardio is good, but resistance training is important because the older you get, you lose calcium, you lose bone density, you lose muscle mass. You gotta take care of that because you lose it quick. You lose it quick. And women like her and people like her are giving a free gift with the people that are saying we should censor some people. Now, we all know that they're using that censoring thing because of misinformation. Let me just double check on with the people that are saying, okay, I could hear it in my end. Let me see if censor some people. Now, all right, so I could hear it. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Let me just double check. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, I got a thumbs up. Okay, I got a thumbs up, so I think we're good. So folks, check your. Okay, it's back. Okay, maybe the Illuminati. See, I don't want to be a conspiracy theory. I don't want to be like this lady. Sometimes technology fails. It's now a conspiracy theory. It just happens. Relax, right? So, and the brother who I spoke to just text me. Shout out to you, brother. I appreciate. I'm gonna try to keep your privacy. But it's just sad that somebody goes, and you these are older people. You would think these are problems you hear with young people, right? And people that, I don't want to get caught up because I'll start thinking about it, get more angry, and then I'll start spitting some names. And I know, but it's just a sad situation, but it's one of these things that, you don't know who's laboring next to you until something happens and you realize, wow, I never thought that guy would do that. Right? Or what have you. And that's right. You got to bet people, and you're right. There has to be a system, and hopefully, within man going God's way, I appreciate my experience in GLCC because it has given me a plethora of data and how to navigate through organization, look at things that actually, that's why eventually even men going God's way, it has to be a committee because I got to protect myself from myself, right? If all the power's on me, eventually it's going to get to me, And once this thing gets popular and huge and worldwide and all that, I've seen it, and it does play a psychological thing on you when everybody's calling you elder, want to take a picture, I got like people wanted me to autograph one of my pictures, one of the pictures. It gets like that, and I don't get it. I don't see it because I'm in so I always view myself as a regular guy. You know, there was one time they were like, Elder, you should get security. Like, no, I'm not doing security. I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to come across as that's not me. And I'm not saying security sometimes is not valid and so forth. So on. There's a lot of crazy people. And I get the idea. You know, Andy Chase, you know, kickboxer champion, he still needs security because, you know, you don't know who's out there and he's that popular. And I really want to navigate this man going God's way, that the idea becomes a celebrity, not individuals. And that's going to be kind of hard, but I want to try to take a crack at it. How can we create the philosophy, the idea, principle that becomes a celebrity? That becomes the people they want to imitate, not me or not you or not any of us, because we all flawed, right? We all come short of the glory of God. But if you trying to crawl up, and this is a message to the sister who made this video, you know, and the Bible says you're going to be judged for everything that comes out of your mouth. Right? For every wicked thought, right? You're gonna be judged. And sister, you know, I pray for you, and I really want you to start looking at this and say, you know what? Outside of what issue I might have with men or with churches or whatever, GOCC or whatever, and so forth, so on, is my soul is right with God. You know, but a lot of these people are too far gone because you're no longer talking to them. You're talking to a demon. And see, that's the thing that I made me convinced the most, that there are demonic forces, because crazy people, you could point them out. But demons are smart, they're tactful, they know when to come out, when not to come out. You get what I'm saying? So with crazy people, they don't have that discipline. They can't just go to work, be normal, come home, and that's why I believe there's some demonic forces that perhaps their science cannot answer, cannot question. You know, how this person knows not to show their craziness, that they are angels or they are prophet at work for 8 hours. Right? But then they are associated with a totally different group. They don't even know this group, and they think they are prophetess or prophet so and so.
Wow.
How that craziness so organized like that? You know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not crazy. Maybe they just they understand. They probably look at Christian people as just gullible. You know. And they just say, let me take advantage of these people. I don't know the answer to these questions. You know, what say you? Yeah. I mean, that's heavy, because a person would have to have some premeditated acknowledgement. If I know not to say this at this particular time. Yeah. Right. I'm not going to walk into the job, because a lot of times, like, if you really believe that, then why only attempt to convince me of it? Yeah. You know what I mean? Go out and prove it to somebody else. So you wonder what, in those moments when they don't do it, what are they saying? Are they brainwashing themselves and saying, oh, I won't tell it to them because they won't understand? Do they put it? And I've seen situations like that, you know, to where people were found out to be intentionally malicious. Information came out where there was no confusion, right? There were lies, there was falsehoods, there was deceit working behind the scenes, you know, for desired end, right? Yeah. And so you do have that. I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah. And you know, it's but so I do. I'm not that I don't show much pity, you know, to it. So I don't really think it's out of their control. You know what I mean? I think I think they know better, you know, in my experience over time. And even to the first point where you mentioned you want the idea of men going God's way, I believe that comes forth when the men who come in and they say, I'm going to embrace the ideas of all of these men who've reached elite membership in it. And then when you look 5 years later and you see their jawline doesn't sit the same, it's more out. You know, their body has changed, the success. And when you have many of those stories, like, I believe that is where the idea where people say, okay, I'll try this out. Because I know for me,
initially when I came into the knowledge and had gone through my experience, I was a timid person. You know, I was successful. I grew up, you know, I got in little fist fights here or there, but when I speak of timid, I don't mean like I wasn't an aggressive man.
Right.
Like I played college basketball, you know, I was an athlete, but certain ideas I hadn't like internalized entirely, like as far as a relationship with a woman and how to go about that. And, you know, after college, after nobody was making me work out, I didn't push myself a crazy deal, you know, to stay in shape, or I wasn't trying to outdo myself and reach new peaks.
And I'm sorry about that. I have a caller.
Okay.
I got you on cue. I know I got you on cue.
Okay.
I want to hear your thoughts, but brother Iron One, finish your thought. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so I'm saying, but that in and of itself, I think that's what will gain traction when you have a system to take men to the next level. So that's basically
accountability. Yeah. So caller, what you got to add to this conversation?
Hey, Gabar, it's Holland, man.
Holland, how we doing, sir? How we doing? So what you got to add to this conversation? What say you? What do you think? If I'm crazy, if I'm on board or I'm on something?
Nah, you on to something, but I think it's farther than just like, you know, I think everybody's kind of, when I'm hearing this conversation, we leaning it towards like religious groups, and they get wild. I think it's the internet in general, man. You start getting on the internet, people start clout chasing it, and that'll make you do almost anything for that, what's it called? So, I mean, she's probably trying, and that's just, you know, the weather behind me. She's probably trying to build her name, and she's trying to use you to catapult off of. There's another dude out there saying Elder Ricard is the greatest deceiver of all. Like he's bigger than Hitler and all other type of people out there that have just really changed the world. No, it's Elder Ricard, man. He's done it. And I'm like, and he's wearing like the little Indian hat talking about the Book of Mormon while you're doing it. And I'm like, man, you got to stop. Like, y'all need to get off the internet.
And why does somebody have to be the most evil person just because you may disagree on them with two or 3 points? You know, just wish you Godspeed. We can't walk together and doing this, you know, company or this church or this whatever. But you know, I never been that type. Even if I didn't like somebody because or there was an issue between him and I, if I hear a lie about that, I'm not gonna just agree with it, knowing it is a lie, right? Just because him and I had an issue. I think real man have to stand for real things. It's what you know, and what you don't know, don't say it. You know, and I think that happens a lot. So you think she's cloud chasing? That she? That's
all I'm hearing.
Okay.
I ain't even got to watch 10 videos to see it. I mean, just the moment where if somebody says, hey, this person is wrong, I'm going to tell you why they wrong, and I don't know nothing about you, and the only way you could get this information to me is being the keyboard warrior, you ain't got nothing to say to me, man. I'm sorry. I got to be able to rebut so I can, you know, get the point out. I mean, maybe there is some truth to it. Maybe Gabar and Elder Ricard did have some back secret meetings and whatnot. And I don't know, maybe the Holy Spirit and whatever else told her this, and she's the only one that knows. But I got to get this information out via YouTube. Like, come on, man. Stop it. To answer your second question, should you sue her? No. I honestly believe you're bigger than that. And, you know, ain't nothing good for her is going to come of it. I mean, anybody that knows you well enough that that's not true. And,
that's true.
If anybody did believe that, then shame on them. You know what I'm saying? And you probably didn't want anything to do with that anyways. But as much money as it costs to sue somebody, save yourself the stress and the check, man, and just let that go.
Yeah, and I think because I remember I got sued once by some lady in Atlanta. Never met her. She called me like about 11:30 in the evening. She was in a man's house, and there was now a husband, and they were arguing about scriptures. Okay, and I got another call. Let me bring him in, Brother Matthews. Let me put him on hold. Let me bring him in as well.
Hello?
Brother Matthews, I got you on hold. Just hold tight. I want to hear your thoughts. And I remember I got a letter eventually got worked out. They got dropped. I mean, it got thrown out because she claimed that I assault her, never met her, and this was a person who was in the church, and because I counseled her, she didn't like the counsel. She started making these lies on me. So we can't take these things lightly. You understand what I'm saying? When people make these crazy things, and yes, right now it's people dismissing it. But look what happened with the guy. How many people he pull out? This M.G.G.W wannabe guy. Now the people that he attracted were crazy themselves. So it's like sometimes these people indirectly do us a favor because they get rid of all the crazy heads, right? But but there's a lot of gullible people. There's a lot of gullible people that they want to believe in things. Yeah, go ahead, Brother Ollie.
You heard of the Koreans, the guy that he says he's Jesus Christ returned. It was back in the 60s, and then he died again. So Jesus came back again just to live, be blind, and then die again. And now his wife, the woman that he was married to, is now the mother of Jerusalem. And it's a Korean-based church. It's big out here in the States.
I heard of that. I heard of that. Yeah, I heard of that.
You walk into that building, you would see nothing but so-called African Americans, so-called Latinos, man. That's it. That is it.
Serious?
I don't see no Asians in there, dude. The only people, the Asians in there are the ones teaching. The rest of them is us. So I'm like, I feel what you said, that I would fight that. I wanted to stand outside the building and prophesy, but I know me. I'm going to get in an argument. I'm going to start yelling and screaming. Ain't nothing good going to come from me prophesying outside your building. I know that, so I'm going to step off, but I know that there are certain fights that you want to take on, and I know your spirit will do it. And that Angel Gabriel one, that was one of them. I was one of the guys on the chat page in his comments talking. And I used to be a troll. I'm good at it. I know how to talk stuff to people. So when I saw I was doing that a lot, I thought, let me back off a little bit. So I understand where you're coming from, dude. And I know somebody coming at you like that.
And what do you think? Okay, because the idea sounds crazy. How can these people convince so many people to believe them? That's the crazy part, right? You got Jim Jones, that guy. You got a lot of people that get caught. There was a guy in Florida. He said he was the Antichrist, but the Antichrist is a good guy, and people believe them. You don't have to do sin anymore. It was a lot of. It's amazing how can people and these were like professional looking people. They were like regular people, right? But I want to bring in Brother Matthews. Can you hear us? Brother Matthews.
Yeah, come.
Okay, brother, what you got to add to this conversation?
Yeah, I was sitting. I kind of agree with you. Where like I don't think the person's crazy. I think it's more of an outside influence that they might have been part of the church or something like that and gathered a bad counsel, and then And I'm not going to mention no names, but there's an apologist out here, a street apologist going around, and he keeps hitting the Israelites. You know what I'm saying? And it sounds just like
vocab. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't want to say no names.
It's okay.
Yeah, but
we know what you're talking about.
It's kind of like interesting because here it is. You'll see even when he's dealing with other Israelite camps, and then they're saying stuff about GOCC or something like that. But when I'm sitting listening to this lady, and she's saying something, and like I said, I posted on it that there's a spirit of discord in Jezebel, right? And those things, and you were sitting there saying about the beta man, and that's like the Ahab spirit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, wow, it would take somebody to do some research on the church, on you, Elder Gabar, and to sit there for her. I don't think she has the capacity or the knowledge of the church like that, or of you or anything like that to say something like that. You know what I mean? So I think somebody that's doing research in the background is feeding her something. You know what I mean? And to cause discord amongst brethren in the community, Israelite community. Yeah. And I do point it that way. I'm not saying for sure, but that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it always start with a disagreement, right? It always starts with some form of discord, some form of argument or something you didn't like someone said, and now a church becomes the most evil church ever. I'm pretty sure, man, going God's way, once we get popular enough, you know, there's gonna be a video out there too about us. How, you know, we're Illuminati, we're you know, sold our soul and things of that nature. And I think it comes from a place of people being bitter and jealous and envious because maybe they want their shine, or maybe they are not in a place where they want to be in their life, and they just look other people's success. And we're the only one that do that, you know. We're the only one people that do that. You know, other races promote their success, promote their heroes, their you know, you got Jackie Chan. He's a big star in China and all over in the Orient. You never hear anything about them. They always protect their heroes. You know, it's only our people. It's only our people that we got something bad to say about our people. And one thing people need to understand, that people are people. We're not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to be perfect. And you know, myself and other Ricard, we didn't agree, and I had to move on to preserve the friendship. But I don't wish any ill will. I'm not. You understand? I don't know where that comes from. And you know, it's I don't know. I just, you know, I would like and to think that people do things like this not because they just simply wake in the morning and say, I'm going to lie on Ricard. I'm going to lie on Gabar. I'm going to say that they made up this thing. There's clearly no evidence, because if she would have evidence, she would present it, right? But she looked like the type, like, you know, maybe some spirit is feeding her this information, you know. That's what the Bible said, try those spirit, right? Whether they have the Most High or not. But anything else you guys got to add?
Oh yeah, I wanted to agree with the one brother too. Over here, he said that and you know, we was talking about how you say the people want to grandstand, want to be out there and put themselves as I'm that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, the thing that came to mind was that people want to be man pleasers for eye service. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we found that, like he was saying, in the old church, when we will go. Like when we was over Al Sharpton's group over there in the 90s, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you'll find a lot of people want to be, you know, Martial or Kazakh. You know what I mean? They want to have their picture on the wall. You know, put it that way. They want to have their picture on the wall.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's kind of strange that, you know, you'll find now the women is always like that one that seems more spiritual, but remember, women didn't go to council. You know what I'm saying? Women didn't go to the council.
Yeah.
But the woman is always like you, and it was deep that you said that her man is sitting at home and letting this mess go on. But where did she get this mess from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where did she get it from? Because here it is, that the man feeding a woman something and having her go out there and doing it. Because I don't see. I mean, that just takes a lot. Women are bred. We don't breed or teach or get a woman that knowledge to go out here and do that like that. So there's a lot more discipline with the women in the church. So I'm not sure. I don't think it's craziness, but I do think it is a grandstand also. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think a man is sitting behind it, trying to grandstand behind a woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the internet has allowed them just to grandstand, because they will not have enough. You know, it's like back in the days, if somebody wants to start a church, an organization, you have to build it from the ground up, brick and mortar, or you got to rent a space. You got to invite people, come over, right? You got to maybe do some street ministry to try to invite people to the church or whatever. Now, you just get on the line, you know, camera, boom, boom, I'm Elder Baba Boo, and this is the gathering of Baba Boo, brothers in Christ, the Thundercats, chapter, you know, and there you go. You got
you don't even need the words. Just put some letters behind it, dude. We good to go. It'll be another camp out there. It's will be able.
Yeah. So absolutely. But it's just sad that our people in this condition. I just don't see this much of like hate in other races towards leaders and people that I have done literally nothing to you. You know, I can understand you had a situation. I need to expose this guy. He slept with my wife. I need to expose this guy. He's stealing money. I need to expose this guy, right?
Mhm.
But I don't like him. So I'm gonna just put a video on him. What he did to you? Nothing.
Mm.
But the spirit's telling me I gotta say something. And I only see that with people of color. I don't see all people. Blacks and Latinos, we just like to just like craps in a battle. We like to just take each other down. And you know, I know this is probably not gonna. She's probably not gonna come on the show. If she hears about the show, she's not gonna reach out to me. If she does, maybe okay, let's talk about it. But I'm gonna first start with an apology. The first thing is an apology because after a while, you know, our integrity is important, and I don't want to mention any names, but there was a situation that when I was with GOCC, there were certain things that they wanted me to say to protect another elder that I felt, you know, he did something wrong. And I told them, I worked too hard to build my integrity, to just allow my integrity just to be just erased because I'm standing with another elder that I felt that he did wrong.
Mm.
And he's a brother. He could still be saved. All that's good. But I you know, I just work too hard, and I know my imperfections. I know my shortcomings. I know what I need to work on. I know that I'm trying to be as authentic as possible here with you guys, right? I understand the realm that I'm coming in. I understand that this internet thing could take a life of its own. And you know, Malcolm X says that the television is a tool that people could fall in love with. You know, be careful of always seeing yourself online and being recognized, because it becomes a rush. Because it does feel good when somebody gives you a great show, great lesson, right? You get a rush versus somebody telling you your show sucks. I hate your show. I hate, you know, your lessons, right? I don't like your lessons. Or the worst, they don't even love or hate you. They just ignore you, right? I can understand it's going to take a hard person to continue going through that, right? Being ignored for years. And sometimes you may be doing it for 10 years and if it doesn't go anywhere, you know, and
Yeah.
I don't think that way, but it could be true. You know, this could probably be a small thing that doesn't grow, a small wolf pack. I'm cool with that. But I would be lying that I would not be feeling good about myself if this thing gets popular and it grows.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, right? And I will wish and hope that my brothers that are going God's way will check me. Right? And that's the wolf pack I'm trying to build.
Yeah.
Rather to keep each other company. Hey, goodbye, you gotta be careful with that. Don't go with that. No, don't deal with that. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what we need as men. That's why we have to start focusing, men. These churches are focusing too much on broken people after they're broken. And that's why a lot of these churches are attracted. I mean, you know, I don't think Rakai is catering to the women, but the perception, because there's more women than men in the church, right, is that he's catering to them, right? Similar to the Christian churches, right? I think 65% or 75% of churchgoers are women, right? The others are men, right? Young people are not going to church like they used to. You know, we all know the stacks. But I think we have to get in front of the problem. We have to get young men before they marry the wrong woman, before they start picking up the drugs, before they start joining the gangs. We have to, you know, get them young, and hopefully we could shift them in the right direction. And I hope that man going God's way becomes that. You know, and then, you know, it would not be a thing that people, you know, I remember the show that I did in my previous show. This is not goodbye. This is hello. I don't know if you guys remember that show.
I remember.
You know, it was an emotional show, obviously, but people were thanking me, oh, that you saved my marriage. What I'm trying to do is give the wisdom, enough wisdom out there that the marriage doesn't need to be safe because it was right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? It was right from the beginning. And, I told the brother who got caught up with that situation with his wife that wanted a divorce and then started dating and marry eventually the pastor's father. God probably saved you from that woman. So you look at that. Look at it from that perspective. Maybe the Most High didn't want you to spend your last years in this world with a woman that would do stuff like that. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise, and I think it is. I think it was. And then he's probably going to join us next week on the on Sunday. He could talk to his testimony if he wants to, or not. It's up to him. But it's I was upset because I know these people. And not in a million years I would thought that would happen. And sometimes you start questioning yourself, like, damn, where's my radar? I thought I was better than that. I could sense, but sometimes that it's the weed and the tares. And I'm not accusing brothers they are the weed and tear. I'm not saying, but even the Bible says that do not rule out the tares because they look like they look like the weed. They look very similar, right? So you have to know who labor among you. And sometimes it's just the opportunity will present itself, right? Is that the opportunity will present itself. So you can have a friend, then you break up with your girlfriend and you knew him for like 10 years and then he's trying to come on your girlfriend. I had a friend like that was trying to, and my girlfriend at the time, matter of fact, my wife now, Desiree, told me, yeah, that guy, yeah, he tries it, and that's why I knew she was a keeper because she told me that. You understand? Other women would hide it, and things of that nature. Yeah, you watch out for that one. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that. That's my boy. I knew him before I knew her. Yeah. So it's and I wish and I hope that there is a radar or a way to fast track that process, but it's not because you can only. Sometimes you can't rush that process because the opportunity sometimes doesn't present itself a year, 2 or 3 years later. Right.
And Elder, if I could mention, you definitely can't fast track the process, but I don't even think people are being taught that that's how spiritual you are. What you would do to your friend if him and his wife broke up. And you had the opportunity. It's not the precepts, it's what you do in situations like those. And that's not even really being explained. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Because I seen you looking a little confused. Everything good on you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Okay. And so, and what I believe it's like a lot of guys are coming in, to the truth. Right. And then what it becomes is, okay, just start quoting off a whole bunch of scriptures and then so argue with me on a deep level. But actually what you embody or for instance, let me give you a quick example. I was thinking about it today because sometimes I train down at the jiu-jitsu gym and I'm newer to that than I am to boxing. Right. And so you have belts. Right. And I'm always just in there. I'm observing everything, how the different belts, even how they behave themselves. You there? Because you froze on my end, I think.
I'm good at my end.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good at my end, but it's a little twitching here and there. But
okay,
you're good at my end. Yeah, I see the pause.
Okay, let me. You can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're back on. Yep.
Okay. So there was a situation where, I'm in there. When you first come into class, you're doing drills.
Yeah.
And you're learning techniques, right? So you're just learning techniques, slow movements. If you're doing it with a partner, they're offering little to no resistance.
Yeah.
So I might learn how to do a triangle.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then that's totally different. In me, I'm a pretty strong guy. I'm like 6'2", 240, to 250. Right. But typically once I actually get into a full on strength rolling match, it's basically me trying to slam you and choke you and Ezekiel choke. That's what I'm gonna resort to.
Right.
And so the thing is, and I'm in a situation, I'm going hard body, we going hard, me and another guy, and then we get by a black belt and the blue belt. And so the black belt are you? It says your bandwidth is lower. Are you okay?
I'm okay on my end.
Okay.
I could see what you said. But
Okay.
this happened when you're going live.
Okay. Good now. Okay.
Open.
All right.
Let's see here. Okay. It's accent. Let me see here. Error. YouTube not receiving enough video bandwidth. Okay. Maybe something's wrong with the internet in my end, but okay. We'll continue.
Well, I can hear you. If we good.
We'll continue. We reboot and come back. But go ahead.
Hey, let me try this. Let me back out the call. See if that'll help you out.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you.
All right.
This is Brother Matthews or Holland? Yeah, we lost.
This is Holland.
Okay.
It's Matthew 22.
Okay. So who was speaking last? Okay, that was Brother Holland. Okay.
I believe
Okay, Matthew still on. Okay. We see you. Thank you, Brother Holland. Thank you for your wisdom. Go ahead, Brother One.
Okay. So I'm rolling, and it's very fast, it's strong, it's aggressive.
Yeah.
And then I end up, sort of running into a black belt and a blue belt. And the black belt is like, hey, it's a black belt and it's a blue belt rolling over here. And I'm like, oh, sorry. So then I just go, walk over here, and then I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, and I'm like, man, what they were doing, it was very controlled, tight, relaxed, and they were actually, doing the techniques in a high intensity adverse situation.
Right.
And so it's like that with the scriptures. Like the idea of an elder is like a black belt, meaning not only can I teach the techniques or I can understand them in theory, but I can actually, this is the way that I am in real life. Whereas now, it isn't really taught that way. It's just taught like we talking about fallen angels or we talking about different things that are theories that could make a person become quite delusional, but they don't have much to do with the practicality of that person's life to really understand how spiritual they truly are, which is like actually a strength in adverse situations, doing the right thing. And that's really what the truth is. And so it hasn't been presented that way. And so because when you're like, you can't fast track it, I'm like, I've seen a lot of people that went off, and I'm like, man, you did something crazy, and judgment is required for what you did.
Yeah.
But if I think about it, you wouldn't really know. And that's what I was saying. I'm like, oh, wow, they really don't know, because that's all it was. It was academies and, and precepts, you get the Bible, now brothers, I seen a video one time, a brother was street preaching crazy and he got punched in the face. And he probably deserved it, to speak to a person that was not in the truth that way. Yeah. And then he was like, and his eyes got big, and you seen like how timid he was. And I'm like, bro, you was sitting there, talking from the bottom of your chest like a warrior.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you had no comprehension of reality in the situation, because he just thought, well, I got the Bible open, so I'm off limits. And it's like, no, brother, this is real. And so a lot of brothers, what I think, they've never been grounded in that reality of the truth. And it's just like, okay, yeah. So to some degree, I don't even think, I think a lot of the brothers could be cut some slack, because like, you don't know. For 8-9 years, all you've been trying to do, you spent your whole existence trying to figure out something nobody else knows, so that people would anoint you champion. And it's just not it. That's just not what men are looking for. That isn't it.
Yeah. Okay. Your internet connection is unstable. I'm hardwired, everything. But this happens in live recording, folks. So just bear with us. But you're right. It's like you first have to, before you give the person this loaded gun called the Bible, you got to train them how to use it.
Yeah.
There's a thing within psychiatry that before you get your license in psychiatry, you have to go to a psychiatrist and deal with your trauma, if you have any. Because having a psychiatrist license is a powerful thing. You could admit people to, when people are crazy, they usually a psychiatrist that would sign off and say, yeah, they should be institutionalized. That's a lot of power there.
Mm.
So if somebody has all kinds of trauma, prejudice, racism, all kinds of issues that they're hiding within that industry, you have to go through your own tests to see if you're not dealing with any hidden demons. I think we have to apply something like that within churches. It should not be how well you know the scriptures, and that should be, and how well you show faith when you're in front of the elders, because everybody looks good in front of the congregation and do the right thing, right? But you're right. There is no shortcut, and you can't fast track that. You can't just simply, simply say, hey, we're. Let me. You know what? Let me do this. Let me take out of here, and maybe that will help the bandwidth, because I was on two computers in Zoom, but maybe that was it. But we're going to end the show in a few minutes. Brother Matthews, anything else you got to add to this conversation?
Yeah. I wanted just to go off what you're saying and what the brother saying, because it reminds me of like back in the 90s, right, where before you picked up the Bible and you went out and you taught anything, you had to go to the Hebrew Academy, a physical Hebrew Academy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's called the Trooper program. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you had to learn how to do cadences. You had to march. You had to know how to do some push-ups. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not just that. It's not just that. You had to interact with the leadership, and they get to inspect you and see you and grade you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And grade you and see if you was okay, if your mentality is able to go out here and you confront people and things like that, where you won't get punched in the face. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like today he said another thing, and I like it, because when you start recognizing that the internet has a lot of power, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we use the internet and we're teaching people to be priests over the internet. And then the elders can't inspect the church, but then the church is ran by somebody who's internet taught. You know what I'm saying? Just like going to school, going to college over the internet, and you're not there in the classroom, you're not getting what you should be getting in correction like you should get it from the teacher.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we get in there and we're going off of how you say what we learned in the Christian church. And then we talk about the women and how the women become foremost in the church, because what? This is what we bring in from. I'm saying we because we're together, but we're bringing that Christian church mentality from the world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we're putting that women right there. And the elders, and that, I wouldn't say Elder Carr is more forward to the women. I think he's real in that point. But the thing is, he's not there. You know what I'm saying? He's not there. So, I mean, that's what I see. That's just what I see, and it's on the internet teachings. You know what I'm saying? And when you're not there to actually correct something where I can visually see and connect to somebody and know your issues. You know what I'm saying? I can't give you a lesson according to where I'm at. I got to be where you're at to be able to teach you. You know what I'm saying? And know what's being needed, what the spirit is going on, so I can send it there. Well, we think of Paul, right? Paul was writing letters to the church, but he didn't write the same letter to each church. You know what I'm saying? He wrote information about that church, and then he wrote a lesson to that church and said, this is the main point that you should focus on. He didn't write the same lesson to all the churches. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where it's like, okay. I mean, that's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say too much. But that's something that I see that I agree with far as the internet and how we was bred. And I think there should be a boot camp that everybody, before they go out and teach something, they need to probably go somewhere and learn under the elders somewhere. Just like tabernacle. You know what I'm saying? When we go amongst each other in tabernacles, it's like, okay, look, there should be a boot camp somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You should travel.
Yeah, I remember, in the 90s, I remember, early 90s, we had to be in the trooper program. I think 8:45 in the morning was roll call, and then we start at 9. And we start with jogging, then we go with martial arts, and then we do go back to the church, and we precept. And it was a good program to keep kids, young men out of trouble and occupy. But what I noticed is, and going back to what I was saying about the committee, is that when they had the 7 elders in one West, it kind of kept things in line to some degree. But the minute that this guy Tasadakan became the only the sole elder, then that's when it went downhill. You know, and you know, it's just one of those things that it is, you know, it could have, should have, would have, but you know, I'm glad I went through that because it taught me lessons in how not to do things. You know, how to do the right, the right way, and so forth, so on. So I know we're having some internet issue. So, Brother Matthews, thank you for joining us and showing your teaching us your wisdom and your experience, brother. I appreciate you.
Right.
sir.
What?
Shalom.
Listen.
Okay.
Oh wow, did we just come back? Wow.
Yeah. I think we're having some internet issues, so I'm gonna have to check my bandwidth. But that happens, folks. That's live television. So so what did we learn today? We learned that this is going to be part of the territory. We're going to get hit and attacked, and this is part of the territory. If somebody knows this lady, tell her to stop because she looks, first of all, ridiculous. She may not look ridiculous. Somebody doesn't know her and that may not even know me, right? Or the church may just stumble, and she's doing more damage than good. She needs help. She needs some counseling to work through this thing out that she's going through. But sister, you're part of the problem. You're not growing. You're not, I don't care how much scripture you quote, how much you talk about this and that, you're part of the problem. And there's a lot of scammers out there. There's a lot of people that out there are deliberately misleading the people. Like this guy Jermaine Grant, who claimed he was the Holy Spirit. He knew he was not the Holy Spirit. He knew that. But I don't believe Ricard is one of them. I don't think Ricard is an evil person. I think he's just a man, and we disagreed, and I walked away because I felt, and I'm done with that chapter of my life. I want to move on to a different chapter, and I think Man Going God's Way is my new chapter. So until next time, folks, I just want to thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Brother Amirwan, for coming in. I know you're always sharing your wisdom. I appreciate you, brother.
Oh, yeah.
So until next time, shalom, peace, and blessings. And may the Most High keep you.